You see, it's inherently not that kind of action that you see in Bollywood films. We shot in Baramulla, which was also a place that has seen that, it's been very sensitive in the past.
25th, one of my favorite actors is back in the theaters. It's a film that promises so much. It's called Ground Zero. I've also been tripping on the soundtrack. From me, Hrishi K, everybody is watching, listening. Please welcome Emraan Hashmi.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
Good. How are you doing?
So good to see you.
How are you doing?
I was just thinking the last time you played a very true to life character. I'm sure directors have come and told you so-and-so is based on so-and-so. But Azhar was a real character. Dubey ji is a real character.
Yeah.
People can always go back and reference an Azhar or a Dubey ji.
Yeah.
Is there anything in between that you played which is absolutely real
I
life?
done Tigers, which was based on a true life incident.
Yeah.
A gentleman called Mr. Amir. He was living in Pakistan, then he went to Canada. I think that's
but this is tricky because now everybody knows what Dubey ji looks like because he's been part of the trailer launch. He's been around, and just like Azhar is around, the constant comparison is going to be there.
Yeah.
Does that make it tougher for you? A little more pressure.
See, the thing is, you get a little bit of room here to play with someone who's not widely famous like Azhar.
Yeah.
So you had to catch the lingo, the way he had a particular tonality of talking, his gait, and all of that. I think over here, a little bit of bringing the imagination and your own personality was possible because Mr. Dubey is a BSF officer and has been pretty much under the radar in a sense. I think it was a responsibility to just distill a certain part of his personality into this role, which kind of distill that soul of the character, that personality into Narendra on screen. Otherwise, you have room to play with it. That was important.
I'm going to come to the soundtrack. I mean, So Lene De is such a beautiful ballad. I always say that Jubin Nautiyal's voice is like a voice from the hills, Vadiyon se gunjti hui awaaz. And this is Tanish Bakshi, who's basically known more for his dance music, a few ballads in between. And it's wonderful because the picturization is really when there's loss happening. Talk to me about the soundtrack. Talk to me about So Lene De. There's also another one called Fateh. which I really like.
Yeah. So inherently, it's a film that doesn't have, at least from the inception when we were shooting in the beginning, we didn't have a soundtrack of this nature. It's not a love story, so it's not one of those albums that has a 5-6 chartbuster tracks. But still, and this is a conversation we all had when we saw the last screening in November last year. And I picked up the phone, I spoke to them, I was like, listen, you'll have to make sure we up the ante with the songs. And I spoke to the entire team. And that's when the hunt began, and to get these tracks. So I said, even if it's in the background, we need songs that kind of hit home because the audience expects that from my films. So that's when we got Jubin, So Lene De, Tanishq, and we got some good tracks. And when you see the film, it blends in with the narrative. It gives that pathos and it takes it to another level with, the patriotism and stuff.
And I'm so glad that along with Tanish Bakshi and along with, the people like Rashmi Virag, these are known lyric writers and composers. Kumarji is a very known lyric writer. You have this new music duo called Rohan who are doing very, very interesting stuff. And they've done this song called Pehli Dafa for you. Another thing that I'm really tripping on the album. All you guys can go to Z Music Company, the YouTube channel, and you'll find a jukebox of all the tracks. And like Emraan said, his movies have got to have great music, and it does have great music. Mahesh Manjrekar and Renuka Shane were very kind to invite me to do interviews for Dev Manus, and I met your director there.
Tejas, he's got 2 releases on that one day, 25th.
I ended up having, lunch with him, chatting with him, and I said, man, what are the chances? It doesn't happen in the modern era. That you have 2 releases on the 25th of the same day. So he was like some kind of intervention.
And it just happened. And he told me that, I was like, Tejas, this is your day, man. You've got 2 releases, and this is something with even planning, you can't kind of pull this off. We're just very lucky to have these 2 releases on the same day. Good.
I get very emotional. I don't know if you're able to control it when when there are moments like a screening with children or a screening with army officers, a screening with BSF people. Must have been a very moving experience.
Very
and
emotional.
you must have stayed back and met the BSF.
Of course, we had that in Srinagar. We had that in Delhi day before night. And it's just a very emotional moment because it's the first time that anyone has made a film on the Border Security Force. And in their run, when they were formed in 65, these are things that some people sometimes get confused with the army and the BSF. I see that.
Correct.
I think there should be more information about the contribution of the BSF in keeping our borders safe, and so instrumental in doing that. It was great to have all these officers, jawans there, seeing this operation that they had their officers had led to bring down this terrorist organization in 2003 that had such positive repercussions for our country. And that was the Border Security Force. So it was nice. They were all smiles. They enjoyed the film. They loved how we made the film. So yeah, it was quite emotional. And also Srinagar, after 38 years, 4 decades, the first red carpet event, a city that deserves that kind of normalcy, and it's inching back to that. Which has been clouded with the kind of turbulent past that it had in the 90s and 2000s. And if you talk to the BSF there and the security agencies, things are calmer there. There have been less, thankfully, touch wood, incident rates of terrorist insurgency and attacks. So it was a high time that, we brought that bit of normalcy back by having an event for them. They've done so much for our country.
During Highway, Imtiaz Ali and the team had invited a few journalists to go to Kashmir to cover the filming. I just love my time there, man.
Yes.
I spent a week there and I met these Bakarwals who are nomadic farmers.
Yeah.
And everybody looks like a Hollywood star. Light eyes, pink cheeks.
Yeah, it's the clean air, the great weather, and the lack of pollution that we have a lot of over here. But it's just such a spectacular place. It was the first time I've been to Srinagar for shooting of Ground Zero. And I'd seen these images online and postcards of Dal Lake and the shikaras and all. And then suddenly seeing that come to life and shooting there, it's something else.
You must have a massive fan following there, man. And I wonder if you managed to have a traditional Wazwan, go out a bit.
I did have it again when we were there in Srinagar this time.
You can't eat anything for a day after that.
Yeah, you cannot. But I generally, because I watch what I eat, I didn't indulge too much into it. But this time it was like a release because it anyways my film's release, so might as well just binge a little bit. But and speaking of the people there, we shot in Baramulla, which was also a place that has seen that, it's been very sensitive in the past and had some incident rates of attacks and stuff. But great, we had so much of a crowd over there. We had so many people come to see the shoot, but they were still so sweet and so cordial. And they really, whenever we wanted them to kind of step aside when we had a shot in the camera, they would, Otherwise, there's some places where the crowd gets so unruly, you can't control it. But they were very sweet there.
Let's talk about the ladies in the film. I mean, Sai is such a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
This last 1 year, I've seen her play a member of the LGBTQ community. I've seen her play a gangster. I've seen her play sexy. I've seen her play plain middle class. I mean, she can do anything she wants.
Yeah.
And must have been such a pleasure acting with her. And Zoya, I mean, the last time I saw her was an Anurag Kashyap film. I'm not recollecting which one.
Yeah.
Another wonderful actor.
Was it Raman Raghav?
The Nawaz one.
I think both of them are spectacular artists. Sai has done all very versatile in the kind of range that she has. Working with such great artists just just enhances your own performance. And she's playing my wife in the film, Mr. Dubey's wife, that character. And she's just spectacular because such an honest, truthful and emotionally charged performance, because these are the lives of your BSF officers' families. Their sacrifices, they are kind of unsung heroes, the kind of high-risk profession that they have. Their husbands or wives of children go there and man these borders. It's that dreaded phone call that you hope you don't get after their 10 or 11 months of posting there, where they can't even communicate with you because they're out in such remote locations. What if that phone call comes, that they've been caught in the line of fire? So she's played very well. Zoya is playing an intelligence officer. There's always this little bit of a kind of tug of war between us in the beginning. but she's played it very well. She's got a certain element of gravitas to that performance.
You know, I believe that when this operation was carried out, they worked about 2 or 3 years on it, and after that, terrorism saw, a downward spiral for a long time.
Yes.
And this was when the attack on the parliament happened.
Yeah.
And this was when, some of the most unsavory acts happened because of Ghazi, because of this guy. Do you remember reading about the Indian parliament attack, and what did you think at the time? I was outraged, for example.
Yeah, of course I was. And it had never been done in the history of the world. It had never happened where a terrorist organization had planned an attack on, country's parliament. And it happened here under the watch of Ghazi Baba. And it happened the next year of the formation of Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terrorist organization, which happened after the IC-814 hijacking.
Yeah.
So, and this was a responsibility that was put on all the security forces at that time, the CRPF, the JK Police, Army, BSF. The BSF officers under the watch of Mr. Dubey, starting off with the operation in 2001, that was 1 year after he was posted in J&K. 2 years it took. 30th August 2003, 3 in the morning was the ground zero encounter that happened. And that changed the trajectory for insurgency in our country, because Jaish-e-Mohammed was destabilized for 13 years. The next documented attack was Pathankot Air Base. So you can imagine, with the parliament attack, with killing 70 jawans, multiple bombings in that city and across the country, Jaish-e-Mohammed was crippled after Ghazi Baba was killed in this encounter. So that is the positive effect of this operation.
So wonderful. I mean, you obviously read up a lot before you even take on a role.
You have
when the idea does. I mean, I find a lot of actors, they don't. They just say, I have to be true to the role. This is my role. This is my screenplay. I'll go and do it.
Yeah.
But you today are giving me background information on, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I've also come well read for this interview. So is always been a priority for you? Or in the early days, were you more instinctive, as when you started off with Bhatt Saab and the gang?
No, but if you're playing a fictional character, you can play that in 1,000 different ways. So there's more of imagination at play there.
You have to be careful,
Yeah, but when you're playing a true event, it's very important, even though you don't see it on screen. For one, getting into the emotional state of a soldier, there's so much you don't see on even up front. And this is where we confuse this overplay of emotions in films, and we end up dissing out performances. Like, for example, someone I wouldn't want to take the critic's name. Not that I'm saying that my performances are flawless. I mean, you can shoot holes in it, like Bar of Blood. That certain play of emotions of the character weren't seen. I'm saying there's a certain stoicism that comes when you are playing a soldier. They have to play the role of a protector. You won't see them break down. They always have to instill courage in the common folk that they're protecting. But in this role, there had to be that inner feeling of a high-risk profession, that their life could go at any point of time, still the stoicism, and still bring out the emotions in the place where I can bring it out. So it was a very, very tricky part of getting into the mental state and the psychological state of a soldier and a BSF officer.
That's very interesting, because a lot of army films have become very jingoistic.
Yeah, this is not that.
It's about the narebazi more than the actual feeling of it.
The yelling and the howling and the constant, and some people celebrate that. And each to their own.
Each to their own.
But
I Tejas and you were on the same page as far as
we were on the same page.
Very good.
Farhan, Ritesh, even if you see Laksh and the films that they have
what
made.
A beautiful film.
It's not that chest thumping kind of I'm an Indian patriotic kind of this. It's in your demeanor, it's in the actions, it's in the intent. And you see that. You don't have to have that kind of jingoism in films,
Did you ask Dubeji a lot of questions?
A lot.
Or did you just stay back and watch him or notice him? You asked him
a little bit of that also.
You noted down stuff.
A little bit of that also. A little bit of knowing his emotional state through the scenes that we have in the screenplay. Like, for example, his last conversation with his wife before he left for the operation. How was that? What is fear like for an officer? It's a very interesting thing that one officer told me in the BSF camp, that he said that fear is a survival mechanism. But you have to be able to rein it in, because too much of fear also can reduce your reaction time and your efficiency on the battlefield.
Yeah, wow.
So you should be able to play that part where you have the adrenaline rush that helps your efficiency, but not too much where is bad for your efficiency. So those kind of things, just keep that in mind when I was playing the character. And also Dubeji, I asked him a lot of questions on the phone in Srinagar when I was sitting and chatting with him on the set. Yeah, it was good.
I'm very glad this is a theatrical.
Yeah.
Because it demands, and I imagine there are a few action scenes, of E-Day and Ground Day.
Yeah.
And were you guys very convinced from the beginning it's got to be theatrical? Yeah?
No, see,
sometimes producers change their mind midway and they say maybe we should just go to OTT.
Yeah, but I'm very. It's great that Ritesh and Farhan always wanted to put this out in theaters. You see, it's inherently not that kind of action that you see in Bollywood films. It's more the investigation that gets them to the action set pieces. Even the action set pieces are not the kind of stuff that... It's very real in the sense the BSF would have played out. They're not unnecessarily blown into this scale for no rhyme or reason. There's a certain realism to it and an honesty to it. And yeah, it was always meant to go out there. For my first narration, I asked Farhan, Ritesh and Tejas, I was like, yeah, this is meant for a theatrical watch. This is never OTT. And
you're keeping a cool head because a lot of actors are turning around and saying, if Salman Sikandar didn't work in the theaters, what's going to happen to me?
Right now, it's an environment where you just have to be true to your film. You don't know how it's going to play out in the theaters. So there's no point stressing about it. It's their film after that. If they want to purchase it, it's something you have no control over. What you have control over is this. I sell it to the best of my ability. I make the film to the best of my ability and put it out there in theaters and we'll see what happens. Me stressing about and overthinking what's going to happen on a Friday in this environment is just counterproductive.
The unlocking of the weapons, locking of it, the cocking of it and things like that.
Yeah.
Did it take time to pick up or did you have a great action dada or the BSF jawans themselves who helped you?
No, they helped us through. We had the entire going on the firing range, understanding the recoil of weapons. And
I believe the recoil is pretty big.
Because they're all old weapons. These are 2001, 2003.
Correct, because it's a dated
when they
film.
put out all the weapons there, we had to pick up exactly what was true to the era, and those are pretty harsh on your shoulder and the recoil. So the Glocks, of course, that's fine, but the AKs are pretty harsh. But we fired those on the firing range for a few days. Yeah, it was good.
Mukesh Tiwari is another great senior actor. Must have enjoyed sparring with him on screen.
Yeah, because it's that bit of tension that is there between us in the film. Can't talk much about it, but he's one actor who brings in that gravitas to his role, and it's good to be sharing screen with an actor of his caliber. He's pretty good in the film.
Have you always looked at the BSF, looked at even the Central Industrial Force, which helps us in the airports and things like that, with a bit of reverence, or only now that a lot of us, like you said, just thought that there's the Indian Army.
Yeah.
There are so many of these other subsets who are protecting the nation.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the borders being such a sensitive area through the length and breadth of our country, 6,500 kilometers of borders that have been manned by these people, the kind of stuff that they have to see, posted in isolated regions where for months, sometimes their posting lasts for almost 11 months. They can't talk to their family because it's either in the harsh, cold winters up north, or I've gone to Rajasthan in 2017 and spent an entire day with the BSF officers there. 45 degrees, which feels like 50 degrees, standing with their heavy rifles in the sun, looking over the no man's land and the border of Pakistan. It's a lot of hard work. And even our CRPF personnel at airports and stuff, that just brings in a certain law and order. And these are two things we take for granted: freedom and security in our country. We don't even think about it. There's a complacency about it. Acha, this is our God-given right. This is what we deserve. But this is why these people, these operations, that we live under the blanket of the freedom and security that they provide.
My last question to you is concerts. India's going nuts with concerts, man. Arijit was on tour, Diljit was on tour, Ed Sheeran was on tour, Maroon 5 was on tour. It's just going nuts. And every concert is going house full.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 50,000 DY Patil or a 1 lakh Narendra Modi Stadium. I don't know if you're a gig freak. When was the last time you went to a concert with your son or with your wife?
It's been a while. We've always had this conversation. We'll probably do something this year. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's just people just kind of, after the whole COVID thing, they just crave to go out there and see a live concert and just be there with the...
You remember the last one you saw? Maybe last decade or something?
It's last decade. I don't remember which one I've gone for, but yeah, it's been quite a while.
Lovely. Guys, 25th, it's in theatres. Please go give it a lot of love. It's called Ground Zero. It stars the wonderful Emraan Hashmi. From me, Hrishi, everybody who's watching and listening, till next time, it's bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Cheers. Pleasure.
94.3 Radio 1.